What is going on, guys? Stefan, S&E's Garage. Behind us we have our Grady White with the Honda BF225. And in this video we are going to be getting it ready for the summer. So let's get right into it. So the last couple of videos I did with this motor actually did pretty well on YouTube. Especially this time of year, and I have had a request to do other videos on it, so that's what we're going to go ahead and do today. So today we're going to be changing the lower unit oil using some Honda Marine 8090, and we are also going to be changing the oil using some Shell Rotella T6 10W30. Now I like Shell Rotella because it is a diesel oil. You really shouldn't use a diesel oil in an automotive application on a gasoline engine because it has additives in it that can harm the catalytic converter. But this is an outboard. It has no catalytic converter, so we don't have to worry about those additives being burned and hurting anything. They have a lot more molybdenum in them, and they're a better oil. So that is what we use on this. We use Rotella, either T5 or T6, whatever they have in stock. And we just went to our Honda dealer, automotive, and picked up a Honda oil filter, because that is all this takes. So we're going to start with the oil change. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to get up in the boat. I'm going to hook up the rabbit ears. I'm going to fire it up. I'm going to let it run for about 5 minutes, just to kind of warm up that oil. If there's any contaminants from it sitting over the winter, we want to get that suspended in the oil. That way when we drain it, it all drains out. So let's go ahead, set up the rabbit ears, fire up. Now once you start your motor up, you're not going to want to walk away from it, because I have noticed that these Hondas do not like to run on rabbit ears. They do tend to overheat on the rabbit ears, so just make sure that you got water coming out of your pee hole eventually once it pulls the water up into the head. And just stay near the engine, that way if it overheats, so you get the alarm, you can shut it down. So you'll see here we have just a little bit of water trickling out, which, like I said, on the hose is pretty normal for these. We're just gonna let it run a little bit, not too long, because again, they will overheat on the rabbit ears. Once you're done letting it warm, you're just gonna go ahead and pop the hood, so to speak, and lift your cowl straight up, and I just like to place it aside. And now we're going to get our bearings here. Right there is your oil filter. Right there is your oil fill. And we're going to go ahead and start getting this thing ready to take apart. So your oil drain is going to be over here. If you're standing behind the engine, it is going to be on your right side. And you are just going to need a flathead to go ahead and crack this loose. See if I can do it here with one hand. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead, take this out the rest of the way, and do not misplace this, and do not put it to the side, because this is actually going to be a little ramp for your old oil to go ahead and drain out of. You kind of pull this out, and then this guy slides in like so, and the oil comes here, drips down. So let's go ahead, crack this loose, and start draining it. Now I'm probably going to make a huge mess here, because I'm going to try to reclaim as much of this oil as I can, because believe it or not, I didn't really use the boat much last year. I went out on it maybe, less than 10 times. So the oil's probably only got about, between 20 and 30 hours on it, if that, which really isn't a lot. If we pull the dipstick here, you'll see just how clean it actually is. So we're going to reclaim this to use in our 270,000 mile Jeep. So I just have this gallon of milk that's no longer milk, and I'm going to sit here with a funnel and try to catch at least a gallon of this. There's 2 gallons in it, and the rest will go down into this drain pan. Alright guys, so you're going to need a 12mm and an extension here to go ahead and remove a drain bolt. I'm just going to go ahead and crack it loose. And we're going to get our funnel and our bottles here ready to reclaim this oil, because like I said, it's like brand new. Oh, and here it comes. And it takes about 2 gallons, so these 2 1-gallon jugs that I have should be just about full. So as far as my reclaiming the oil mission, that's going to be good for me. We got about 1.5 gallons, and that's all I need. I need 6 quarts to change the oil on my Jeep, so that is where this oil will go. So let's just let this finish draining, and then once it comes to a trickle, we're going to move some stuff here out of the way, and we're going to use the power trim to rock the engine back and forth and just make sure we get all the oil out of all the nooks and crannies. All right, so we're going to take our power trim here, raise it up, like so. Okay, and we're going to lower it back down. And you'll see now we're getting more out of it. Because what we basically just did is we forced all the oil that's here in the cylinder heads back down into the oil pan. And again, I like to get a complete drain out of these. So I'm going to let this trickle back out. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Once it slows down, I'm going to raise it back up, lower it back down. Down to a trickle again. Let's go ahead and raise it up. Okay, I'm just going to let it sit for a second. Again, come back down. Super important that you do this a couple times just to get a complete drain of your oil. All right, so we're down to a drip. So we're going to go ahead and replace our drain plug. Now, ordinarily, I'd replace this crush washer, but I forgot to buy one, and admittedly, it is still in decent shape. You can reuse these a couple times, as long as they're not completely crushed. So I'm just going to go ahead, start this by hand. You don't have to kill it. That's the key here. You just tighten it down until it stops, and then go about a quarter turn. That's it. All right. Take your ratchet. Done. That's it. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to take our access plate off here. We're going to clean it up real nice, and we're going to go ahead and reinstall our flathead screwdriver, or our flathead screw, and then we can go ahead, turn the motor all the way to the right, and we can go ahead and change that oil filter. Now, we went ahead, like I said, we turned the motor all the way over to the one side to get to that filter. If you're anything like me, I hand tighten all of my filters. That was not tightened by a wrench. So it should, for all intents and purposes, like that, come right off. So I'm just going to go ahead, get in there with this little bucket that I have. It's like a little yogurt container, and try to catch as much of that oil as I can. It's kind of inevitable to make a mess here. It's just the nature of the beast. So let me get in here. I hope you can see what I'm doing, but we're just going to get this off as quickly as we can. Okay, I'm just going to stick the filter right in here. The rest of our oil that we spilled will go directly into the drain pan. Now we can go ahead and get our new oil filter. Now, for the last service I did, I used a Wix 57356. That is perfectly fine. I will leave a link to one of these in the video description below. If not, just drive to your local Honda dealer, whether it's a Marine, Honda, or automotive, and just buy regular oil filter. Either one will work. So let's go ahead, grab our new oil filter. Pull the plastic off. And thread it on. Again, hand tight. You do not need to murder that. That's perfect. So now I'm going to go get some brake clean. I'm going to spray this down, clean it up, and we'll go ahead and fill her up with oil. Alright guys, so now we are in the boat. We're going to go ahead, open up the oil fill, which is right here. We're gonna dump 7 quarts into this. The capacity is 8, but we're gonna fill it to 7, start it for 1 second, and check it. And then add more as needed. All right, guys, we went ahead and put our 7 quarts in. I'm gonna start it for literally 2 seconds. I'm not even gonna bother turning the water on. I'm just gonna start it real quick, let it fill that oil filter up, and then we're gonna check the oil. Alright, we're just going to let it sit for a second and then check our oil level. We're about 3/4 of a way up the dipstick, so we're going to go ahead and put our last quart in. Pull the dipstick again. And if you see, we are now right at the full mark. Perfect. Alright guys, our oil is changed. The oil is nice and full. Before I go ahead and put my engine cover on, I like to take some silicone lubricant here. It doesn't matter what kind. You can use CRC, you can use XPS. I just happen to have some PB Blaster right now. And I squirt everything. I coat this engine with this silicone. And what that is going to do is prevent any rust from forming. Because we do use this engine in salt water. So we'll just, like I said, very liberally, everything here gets coated in this. And that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned. In our next video, we're going to go ahead and tackle the gear oil. So if this helped you, please like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.